Once upon a time, there was a family of 4 who decided to take a short vacation at an Airbnb rental for the weekend. The house they rented looked beautiful in the pictures, nestled in the woods with a cozy and inviting ambience. They were excited to spend time together and explore the nearby attractions, but little did they know that the experience would turn into a nightmare. After settling down in the house, they decided to explore the surroundings, have some fun, and come back to rest. But as the night approached, strange things started happening. The curtains would move by themselves, and the lights would turn off without anyone touching them. The family ignored it, attributing it to the quirks of the house. Perhaps it was an old structure with its peculiarities. The next day, things took a worse turn. When the family woke up, they saw that the doors of all the rooms were wide open. The windows were also open, and the curtains were moving like they were being blown by the wind. The family was on edge, and they started hearing noises that sounded like someone was moving things in the house, and the footsteps that seemed to be coming from upstairs. The father decided to investigate and went upstairs, only to find the room was pitch dark. The father turned on the light and found that all the beds were completely messed up. The sheets were in shambles, and the pillowcases were on the floor. He decided that it was enough, and they left the Airbnb rental and went to a hotel. Upon further investigation, the family discovered that the house was built on Native American burial grounds. The Airbnb rental host failed to mention this in the listing description, which angered the family and left them feeling violated. It turned out that many previous guests had reported similar supernatural experiences while staying at the house, and the host had done nothing to fix it. The family returned to their city, relieved that they had safely escaped that spooky place. The horrifying experience reminded the family that not every photo in an Airbnb listing depicts the reality that they will encounter. It is important to do some research and to check out reviews of previous guests before committing to a rental. The moral of the story is, wherever you decide to stay, be it an Airbnb, rental, or a hotel, make sure that you know the history of the place. Some locations have dark histories and should be avoided to ensure a peaceful and safe vacation. As a global traveler, I always relied on Airbnb to find budget-friendly accommodations. But when my stay in a supposedly charming cabin turned into a living nightmare, I realized that a single click could lead me straight to hell. It all started when I arrived at the remote cabin, nestled deep in the woods. The owner had assured me that the place was fully equipped and perfect for a relaxing weekend. But the moment I stepped inside, I knew something was off. The cabin was freezing cold despite the heating system being on full blast. The owner had left a note urging me to keep the windows shut at all times, but that only added to my unease. As night descended, I struggled to keep warm and fought off the sense of being watched. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I heard a strange scraping noise outside my door. At first I thought it was just the wind, but the sound grew louder and more persistent. I finally got up the courage to look outside, but there was nothing there. I tried to brush it off as my imagination, but the sense of unease was overwhelming. As the night wore on, things only got worse. Shadowy figures seemed to dance just beyond my peripheral vision, and I swore I could feel cold fingers tracing patterns on my skin while I slept. Every time I woke up, the scratching at the door had grown louder, and my heart raced with fear. I couldn't take it anymore and decided to leave for the nearest hotel, but when I went to grab my car keys, they were gone. I searched the cabin frantically, but they were nowhere to be found. That's when I noticed strange symbols scrawled on the walls in what looked like blood. Trembling with fear, I realized I was trapped with no way out and no means of calling for help. The scratching outside my door grew louder and more insistent as the night wore on. All I could do was huddle in my bed, praying for daylight to come. The next morning, when the owner finally showed up, I was shaking with fear. But instead of offering help or sympathy, he simply smiled, saying, "Oh, looks like they liked you. You're not the first one to stay here, you know. We always have a good time." I found out later that the cabin had a dark history with rumors of occult rituals and strange disappearances. I'll never forget those long, cold hours spent alone in that remote cabin, wondering if I'd ever make it out alive, and I'll never trust an Airbnb again. Thank you for engaging with our content. We'll be eagerly awaiting your return for the next spine-tingling video. Until then, stay curious and keep the lights on.